What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 15. Sleeper picks.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to give you some of my top DFS sleeper picks, super low priced and low ownership players that could crush value this week and give your lineup an advantage over the field. These are risky plays, meant for large tournaments only. Don't go all in on any of these guys. They are high risk, high reward picks. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NFL Week 15. Let's take a look at the quarterback position. So my sleeper pick at the quarterback position is Jared Goff from the Detroit Lions, playing the New York Jets, who have a good defense overall, and they've been good versus opposing quarterbacks. But Jared Goff has averaged 18.1 fantasy points per game on the season. He gets an average of 1.8 rush attempts per game. Only going to be about 3% owned, projected at 18 fantasy points here in Week 15. He's 5,700 DraftKings salary, 1,600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 43.5 points scored in this game, with the Lions trailing by 1.5. Now, Jared Goff has scored 29, 25, and 18 fantasy points in the last 3 games. Now, he doesn't have a great matchup here this week, but his wide receivers are popping off, plenty of weapons to throw the ball, and his salary is low, ownership is low, and he's been on a tear the past couple of games. So I think he can go out there and put up 20 plus fantasy points. Now, even if he only scores his season average at 18 fantasy points at 5,700 DraftKings salary, that's 6.3 times value. So he doesn't need much to hit value. So I like Jared Goff here versus the New York Jets. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. So, kind of a challenge finding a sleeper pick here at the running back position. You could go with a guy like Cordell Patterson or Najee Harris. I was also looking at Deonta Foreman, who got 22 touches last week, and he's only 5,400 DraftKings salary. But the way that I look at it is, if I'm going to pay close to $6,000, I'm probably just going to pay up a little bit more here and get a guy like Ezekiel Elliott from the Dallas Cowboys, playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have the 10th worst defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing running backs. Ezekiel Elliott has averaged 13.4 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 15.6 rush attempts per game, 1.6 pass targets per game, only going to be about 6% owned. Now, he's projected at 12.5 fantasy points here this week, but I think he can score 15 fantasy points or more in this one. He's 6,200 DraftKings salary, 1,300 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 47.5 points scored in this game, with the Cowboys favored by 4. So Ezekiel Elliott, although he has been conceding a lot of work to Tony Pollard, he's still scored 17, 18, and 17 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks, off of 15, 17, and 16 rush attempts, on top of 5, 3, and 1 pass target. So he's gotten 20 touches the past 2 weeks. Now, it's a pretty good matchup in a game that the Cowboys want to win here. Let's take a look at the playoff picture. So let's just look at this real quick. For the AFC, the Bills have clinched. The Eagles and the Vikings and the 49ers have clinched for the NFC. So if we're looking at the Cowboys, they are still in the hunt. Even though they have a record of 10-3, they still need to win to lock in their playoff spot. So I think the Dallas Cowboys are in a position where they're going to want to put all the points on the board that they can. And I think it's going to be a run-heavy offense here this week. I mean, even if Ezekiel Elliott gets 20 touches and scores 15 fantasy points, you're still looking at a pretty decent day. And I think he's got 20-plus fantasy point upside. And Tony Pollard is almost 1,000 more at 7,100 DraftKings salary. And Tony Pollard only got 15 touches last week and 15 touches the week before that. Now, Tony Pollard has scored more fantasy points in both of those games, even though he got less action or less touches, 25% less touches. So I do think Ezekiel Elliott, a little underpriced and a little underowned here. Somewhat of a risky play, but hey, it's a sleeper pick. So I like Ezekiel Elliott here versus the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. So this is a high risk, high reward play here. But if you want to go for a guy who's going to be super low owned, super low salary, and he has been increasing his production for the last 3 weeks, I think he's going to get a ton of pass targets here this week. Take a look at Rashid Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints playing the Atlanta Falcons, who have the 3rd worst defense overall. They give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Rashid Shaheed has averaged 6.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 1.9 pass targets per game. He's only going to be about 3% owned. Now he's projected at 6 fantasy points here this week, but I think he can score 10 plus fantasy points. He's only 3,200 DraftKings salary, 2,200 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 43.5 points scored in this game, with the Saints favored by 4. So Rashid Shaheed has scored 12, 8, and 2 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 4, 3, and 2 pass targets. And he got 1, 1, and 0 rush attempts in those games. So 5 touches last week. I think that's going to be his base case this week. It's a good matchup. He has shown that he's a capable wide receiver. And let's take a look at where the New Orleans Saints are here in the playoff picture. So for the NFC, we got the New Orleans Saints way down here on the bubble. So they're not officially eliminated. They are going to try to win this game here. Only 3 teams that are eliminated: Houston Texans, Chicago Bears, and the Denver Broncos. Just remember that those 3 teams, even though they're eliminated from the playoffs, the pressure is off those players. And oftentimes, it's those teams that end up surprising people as the season closes out, because everyone writes them off. Oh, the Chicago Bears are 3-10. They're out of the playoffs. No one's going to play hard. But NFL players, they're still playing for their job, and they want to pad their stats. So look for, don't count these teams out of DFS, but it is something to consider that they're no longer in the playoff hunt. So let's move on here. So I like Rashid Shaheed as a low salary, high risk, high reward sleeper pick here versus the Atlanta Falcons.
Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, moving on to the tight end position. So here's a sleeper pick for you. What about Darren Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders playing the New England Patriots, who have a good defense overall? They give up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Darren Waller has averaged 7.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4.8 pass targets per game. Now, while he was playing, he was on the field for 100% of the snaps. Now, we know he's been injured most of the year, and it looks like he's going to make a comeback here in Week 15. You just got to keep an eye on this play, see if he is active, see if he is going to play, but it does look that way right now. Only going to be about 2% owned, and he's projected at 7.7 fantasy points. But I like this play because he's only 4,100 DraftKings salary. I mean, it's a long shot here. It's definite sleeper pick. But if he is healthy enough to play, this guy's a top-end tight end. So he could go off here depending on how healthy he is. I mean, if they're going to give him the green light to play, you know he's got to be healthy. Even though he's been out with injury for quite a while, he still could come in and make a difference in this game, score a touchdown. So I like Darren Waller as a super high risk, high reward sleeper pick here versus the New England Patriots. But more realistically speaking here for sleeper picks, I like Gerald Everett. He's only going to be about 5% owned. He's only 4,300 DraftKings salary, so, 4,300 for Gerald Everett or 4,100 for Darren Waller. I would prefer to just go with Gerald Everett here at only 5% ownership. And then you also got a guy like Hunter Henry at only about 5% ownership, who looks like he's put up double-digit games 2 out of the past 3 games. Only getting about 3 to 5 pass targets per game, but he's only 3,300 DraftKings salary. So I think he's an option as well. So for sleeper picks at tight end, based on ownership, Gerald Everett, Hunter Henry, and Darren Waller.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video, or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.